Hi, I'm Falen Pitts, and welcome to MBA Now. Today's guest is Judith Ricks, MBA's Associate Vice President of Commercial Real Estate Research, who is here to discuss our current CRE forecast and the top trends of 2026. Judy, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Fallon.
Of course. So for my first question, can you just give us a rundown of the current CRE forecast?
So our February CRE forecast estimates origination volumes of about $675 billion for 2025. That's about a 35.5% increase year over year. In the first half of 2025, there was a lot of hype because year-over-year originations were much higher in the first half of 2025 compared to the first half of 2024. However, when we look at the data, the second half of 2025 was really strong. And in the fourth quarter in particular, originations grew for almost every capital source. So this increased our forecasted estimates for both 2025 and 2026 relative to our published release in January. For the multifamily market, we saw similar dynamics and made some moderate increases in our forecasted originations for both 2025 and 2026. And we're generally expecting origination volumes in 2026 to be good for the multifamily market, given the increased lending caps from Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac.
Gotcha. And so switching gears to loan maturities, which is always a big topic, especially at our recent CRE convention, can you discuss the recent results from that report?
Absolutely. So at face value, the big story was that the maturities wall decreased to $875 billion of current year scheduled maturities compared to the $957 billion from the prior year. If we dig a little deeper into the data, we see that much of that reduction was driven by depository institutions. And in fact, if we now look at the scheduled maturities, we see that depositories have scheduled maturities that are going to be occurring in larger scale between the next 2 and 5 years. In contrast, if we look at other capital sources, they have more right-tailed scheduled maturities that are expected to mature over the next 5 to 10 years.
So it seems like it's a lot to look forward to in the next couple of years. And Judy, for my final question, can you discuss what should our members be on the lookout for in 2026?
So again, we expect 2026 to be a good originations year. We've heard from our members that there's already a strong pipeline of originations in the mix. Two things that I'm keeping my eye on is first, in order for borrowers to refinance and modify existing loans, it's ultimately going to depend on the interest rate environment. Second, a necessary condition is that sellers are willing to sell in the current market. It's the only way for buyers to deploy their capital. With respect to multifamily, two things that came out of 2025 was first, that vacancy rates had increased, and second, that effective rents had flattened out. So those are areas that we're keeping our eye on for the multifamily market. Of course, there's a lot of geographic variation in the multifamily market. So for example, vacancy rates are much higher in southern metropolitan areas as well as the Sun Belt and mountain states, and vacancy rates are relatively lower in eastern metropolitan areas.
Wow, so it sounds like 2026 will definitely be an active year. Judy, thanks so much for stopping by. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for having me, Fallon.
And for more information on our CRE research, go to mba.org/research.